Hey, you guys, I want to talk about visceral personality, visceral type emotions, which I am. I used to not be so much, but there are people who purposely provoke other people, and they do this because they want to get a reaction out of you. And it's best to not be around those kind of people. But when DHR team takes your child away from you, and then they have these ISB meetings, and it's everybody against the parent because that's their salary. All the children in the system is their salary. So they're not in a hurry to give you your kid back. So this behavior that is seen on their part is very dignified and very or like you're the problem, because they're using dirty psychology, just like with President Trump. They've known President Trump has a very strong personality, but if you look at him before the presidency and after the presidency, he didn't have that visceral, manifestations, okay? And I didn't either until, these kind of situations. And other people studying other people like to provoke sometimes just to get that out of them. And I think this is a criminality. It is a criminality, because how can you invade somebody's privacy or just sit there and study somebody just to purposely push buttons? I think it's criminal. Now, Alex Jones, I've always liked Alex Jones. I know that he has a very strong personality, very visceral, but that's because he feels very strongly. He's very passionate about what he does. He is a journalist. Unlike me, I'm not at all a journalist, but I do have an analytical mind and investigative eyes. But Alex Jones is a trained professional journalist, and he is very passionate about what he does. And what makes him really upset is the fake news. And so he wants to help people, and he feels like people are being brainwashed, and he's watching this happen in front of him. So he feels like he has a very strong mission to alert people. And I don't dislike him at all. I like him. And I feel that he was targeted to get him off the air. And I feel that this is wrong, because people need to keep their wheels going. People need their followers. That's their God-given freedom, to practice journalism. And I don't believe that if you're a good journalist, whomever you are, male, female, from the United States or abroad, or whether you are a mainstream media journalist or independent journalist, you should not feel threatened by any other journalist. Healthy competition is good, but I don't think that he was threatening anybody. Let people think for themselves. If they think that Alex Jones is over the top, but they like what he has to say, let them think for themselves. If they think that he is lying about what he's saying, let them come to that conclusion. But the thing is, you have to understand that people have their own perspective, and they do their own research, and they are going to gather data as a journalist, and they're going to gather that data, and they're going to think for themselves and then present it, unlike mainstream media. I'm not saying that all mainstream media journalists do not do their own research. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is because you work for a network, you have to, control the tongue. You cannot just say whatever you want to say. You have to say what has been approved for you to say, whether you wrote it or not. Even if you wrote it, it still has to be edited and it has to be reviewed and it has to be okayed before you go on the air. Unlike an independent journalist or somebody like Alex Jones, who was putting his own show together, that's his own show, his own reputation. If somebody doesn't like him, that's his freedom of the press, which is our First Amendment. And I think that his rights were violated big time. And I do enjoy seeing him. He is loud and he's visceral, but that's because that's his personality. And if he weren't like that, it would be a boring show because it would not be Alex Jones. Alex Jones is one of those people. They're just very, charismatic. And I think that I know his rights were violated, and his freedom of the press, his freedom of speech, and that's un-American. So, in America, in God we trust, and God is a God of freedom, and our First Amendment of our Constitution that we swear to protect and defend, so help me God. When we joined the services to fight for freedom, that very First Amendment of our Constitution was violated. Not just Alex Jones, but a lot of other people. But I think Alex Jones was framed when he was being interviewed by another mainstream media journalist. They were just like zeroing in on him, like, this guy is not legit. This guy is not not reputable. They were just using psychology to brainwash the people. And people need to think for themselves. And I do believe that Alex Jones was correct. And I will say 99% of the time. I'm sure that because I haven't watched everything that he's ever put out there, and I don't have the time in my physical brain, in my physical body, I just don't have the time in my lifetime to listen to what everybody ever said. But God does. And God knows that when people mean well. And I do believe that Alex Jones means well. And it upsets me to see that he was targeted and that he was from multiple angles, and they zeroed it on him and really, did this to him. But, he's a journalist and he's experienced and he has his personality and his reputation and his followers. So I would like to see this year, I would like to see Alex Jones come back. And President Trump, if you look at pictures of President Trump before he became president, there wasn't anybody trying to push his buttons to get a reaction out of him. You know what I mean? He got along with everybody in his family. He's always had a good relationship with his daughter, Ivanka. He has made his children successful. That's a good father. He's always been very protective and has invested time and money into his children with his wealth. And he's very generous with his wealth. I mean, he's done a lot, And I believe that when he became president, it was like from the very beginning, these Democrats already had a plan to get him out. And they invested all this taxpayers' money into these investigations, just to give money away to these investigators. The whole thing was planned, and I don't think that's fair to not give a person a fair chance to do what they need to do. And with President Biden, I believe that President Biden did a good job as a vice president, and I'm sure he'll do the best he can as a president, but there's always going to be people criticizing, whether it's President Biden or Obama or Trump or whomever it is. Okay? So nowadays we have more and more people being sarcastic and being disrespectful toward the president. As in comparison to a few years ago, I'm talking about decades ago, because our society, if you look at the society, the culture, we have come down as far as like the standard of living, and we have come down as far as like our education and our manners and everything. So our faith, we have become, for the most part, vulgar and disrespectful and sarcastic and unfaithful, and as a whole, and what is wrong is right, and what is right, it's wrong. So I'm not saying that that President Trump or Alex Jones are perfection by any means, but what I am saying is that they mean well. And people have become accustomed to just going in like hawks, and like almost like there's a piñata, and you just have to hit it until all the candy comes out, and then everybody goes and takes candy. It's like, how can you say that it's okay for everybody and their brother to come into your country? What about your resources? You see what I mean? It's not possible. Each nation needs to take care of their own. How can you say that the wall that we're building here is not the same wall between Palestine and Israel? Not at all. Because Israel is the people of God. The land of your inheritance is the whole earth. The Jews are the chosen, but also chosen are the Gentiles. And Jesus, the man, Jesus who died for our sins over 2,000 years ago, the single man, Jesus, who died, overcame death. And we are the chosen Jews and Gentiles. Remember, Jesus was a Jew. Salvation is from the Jews. Who said that? Jesus himself, the man. But we are the body of Christ. We are coming together as a living body in which God dwells. So, Jews, the original, and Gentiles grafted in. Okay, Gentiles, when I say gentuza, in Spanish, gentuza is like the people, the common people, but also sometimes I say vulgar, because people curse nowadays for no reason at all. I'm guilty of, I say scheisse a lot. I say crap. Sometimes like, that's just crap. And that's not good. But I'm not perfect. I'm a Gentile. But I'm also a Jew, and you are too, because we've been grafted in. So you have to make that choice, like Ruth made that choice. She made the choice to be, and then, it's like we're making that choice, by saying, yes, I believe in the Spirit of God and I believe in Jesus Christ, you are for becoming one with the Jews, therefore you're also Jew. And the Jews, by saying, yes, I know Papa God did say, in the book of Ezekiel, Son of Man, on one stick write to Judah and all the Israelites associated with Judah, and on the other stick write to Joseph and all the Israelites associated with Joseph, and then, the two will become one. The Jews know that because remember Peter, when he saw the vision in the book of Acts, he was like, oh no, no. And Peter was for the Jews. But Peter's also Satan. Who said that? Jesus himself. He said, get behind me, Satan. So, Jesus Christ, the body coming together, okay? It's like when Peter denied or refused God 3 times, Peter also denied Jesus 3 times. These two things are one and the same. See, because God cleansed it. God cleansed the Gentiles when Christ died over 2,000 years ago. He overcame death. And by us accepting Jesus Christ, we're also accepting that we already were crucified with Christ and we have overcome death. So we should fear no man, because even if we die in the physical body, we've already overcome death. So we should fear no man, no evil. That's what this means. And the Jews are like, for a long time, like, ugh, no, gentuza, Gentiles, ugh, impure people, uncircumcised, yucky. These people don't even eat kosher food. They eat all kinds of disgustingness. Look at these people. They have no refinement, no respect for God. How do you? If I feel that way sometimes, and I'm a Gentile too, but I'm also a Jew, because all of you Gentiles are also Jews when you come and join the body of Christ, because Jesus Christ was a Jew, and it's Jews and Gentiles. So I just want to let you know, for those of you who are Christian, who are in your Christianity superiority, or your Christianity high horse, or your Christianity self-righteousness, I want you to know that Jesus Christ, the man Christ, was a Jew, and we are members of the body of Christ. And if Jews and Gentiles come together to make one body, that makes us Jews too. And it makes the Jews Gentiles now. And they're like, but remember, Peter refused God 3 times. And then the vision went away. The sheet went back up to heaven. Okay? Our transformation occurred between the 3 and the 4. Because it's like Peter's the first, like the very first. And then it's like Paul. Okay? Paul is the 12th disciple, not Matthias. Okay? They cast lots, and that's not what Jesus instructed them to do. Peter made that decision. But even if he hadn't made that decision, if it would have been any other disciple, they cast lots, and that was not what Jesus instructed them to do. Paul is the 12th disciple. How do I know that? Because I know that. So, I know a lot of you know that. But Paul was also a Jew. And Paul was for the Gentiles, and Peter was for the Jews. But remember that Peter, Satan, is not chosen. Jerusalem is chosen. So it's like Joshua before the angel of the Lord. Joshua, okay? Jews and Gentiles. Judah, Ephraim. Joshua, Jerusalem. Not Satan to the right. Not Satan to the right. It's Jerusalem. So, Peter refused 3 times. He's like, no. So, I just want to tell the Jews and the Gentiles this truth. That the Jews, it's like, knock, knock. And the Jews are like, who's there? It's the Gentiles go, it's us. Us who? Us. The Gentiles. We are Jerusalem together. It's like, oh, welcome, brother. It's like to become one, to become better. So anyway, sometimes I'm like, I say gentuza, because it's like the people that, like, they don't think for themselves. They just go with gossip. You know, a lot of people are like that. They're just gossipy, and they just run their mouths with gossip among them, and they don't even know the person. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, Trump is a racist. It's like, Trump is not a racist. He happens to be a white man with blonde hair and blue eyes. Just like, so is a black person a racist because they're black? Are they racist against white people? Stupid. Just like we have black churches, they segregate themselves. We have black TV, they segregate themselves. Black magazine, they segregate themselves. Hispanics do the same. If white people were to do that, they would be called racist. But that's because back in the days, most of America was Caucasian because of all the Europeans that came. And what happened to the Native Americans and the black Afro-Americans were like pushed to the back, pushed to the back, pushed to the back. And now, and for a long time, they have been suffering the consequences of that, of everybody and their brother coming in. So our wall here in America between Mexico and America is not the same wall as the one in Jerusalem. Because in Israel and Palestine. Because what has happened in Israel and Palestine is the same thing that happened in India and Pakistan. Is the PP of 1947. PP. Partition Plan. PIPI. Palestine, Israel, Palestine, Israel, Pakistan, India. This was brought up to my attention by, my 5 doves of peace. Because I could care less about that kind of stuff. I was just like really airheaded when I was in high school. I was just like a really airheaded girl. I really was. I was ESL student. I was very artistic and looking out the window and la la la. But I've always believed in God. Always. Because I saw the light when I was a child. And I knew that God existed, but I wanted to know if he was listening to me, to us. And he said yes. So I knew. But then I kind of got lazy in my faith. I wasn't nurturing it because I wasn't growing and developing in an environment that nurtured it in my immediate household. My mom thought that people believed in God just in case, and my stepfather believed that, he believed in God, but his faith was lacking. And so I always wanted to know more and more and more in depth about God. I was hungry and thirsty for the Word of God. And He feeds, and He gives you that water is through the Word. It's wonderful. See, the water comes before the fire. The fire is the Spirit. So you drink, and then it's like, it's amazing. It's a wonderful thing. It's a free gift of life. So, when I was growing up and developing, my godmother's mother, who helped raise me during the summers in Panama, she gave me my Bible, and she would read to me from the Bible, and she would talk to me about God all the time. All the time it was God, 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 and everything was about God, and I could see everything, but it wasn't like a fanatic. It wasn't like a fanatic. It was more like when somebody would come, asking for something, she would go into her closet, and she would go, and then she would come up with, I had no idea she had this treasure in the closet. I mean, I knew, but I didn't know to what degree. And she would always come up with little monies and crackers and, little toiletries, and put it together and give it to that person. She always had like treasure in that closet, and it was a tiny little closet. It was so organized. She was very organized and very clean. And then she got dementia later on, but she was very clean and organized before she got the dementia. She was a really sweet lady, and she told me that Jesus was going to return during my lifetime, but that she would be gone physically. That she wouldn't get to see Jesus return, but that my generation would get to see. And she never lied. So I believed it. And I just knew that it was going to happen. I just knew it. And I'm so happy to be sharing this with you. So, when I would go to these DHR meetings, I remember one time there was Miss Haggerty, Miss Brianna Brodnix, Miss Velma, the foster parent at the time, Mr. Robinson, Robinson, the guardian ad litem. And then there was Miss Williams, the supervisor of the supervisor. And I believe that was it in the room. And a DHR, another DHR attorney. And Miss Haggerty said, Miss Valerino, I just want to let you know, she's very nice. She's a very nice lady. She's very intelligent and very nice. And then she goes, Miss Valerino, I just want to let you know that Mr. Sanders says that that you are not stable, and he's gone. He's no longer in the case. Brianna Brodnix is now the new caseworker. And Miss Velma was there talking about Mardi Gras, and it was like Mardi Gras parade. This is a couple of years ago. I can't remember, 2018, 2019, 2019. I've been dealing with this since 2017. It's ridiculous. It's painful. And so Miss Velma and the guardian ad litem were going on about, oh, how people were parking in his office during Mardi Gras season and during the parade and blah blah blah, and the whole meeting was about Mardi Gras. And I'm just like, I don't have a problem with Mardi Gras, but that's not my favorite holiday. And I certainly, I'm not going to say that I prefer Halloween. As a child, I looked forward to getting dressed up and going going trick or treating. Yeah, that's fun. Okay? I'm not going to say that that's not Christian. I'm not going to go over the top and say, oh, my child can go trick or treating. No. But I understand Jehovah Witness point of view. But I'm not a Jehovah Witness. But I want to let Jehovah Witness know that they are also Gentiles and they're also Jews by being members of the body of Christ, because to become one branch, and we are branches. So the branch branches out, but then it's like one tree of life. So it's like I had Mormons come over my house when I was a teenager before I joined the military, and I really enjoyed talking to the Mormon boys. They were so wholesome, like wholesome people. To me, it reminds me of people from the Amish community or the Mennonite. They're just like sweet kids, they just have no malice, and you just don't see that in the average folk. So, to me, if they're going to be taking kids from parents to be passing them around, to me, it's like they should consider putting these kids in an Amish community until the parents can get their kids back, because at least they'll learn good things. They'll learn about God. They will learn about cleanliness and orderliness. And that's what God is all about. And we need more Amish influence in our communities because we're so filthy in this world. Have you seen the Mennonites put up a building, erect a building? It's like they all help one another. They all know the same skills. And then they get together like little ants to expedite. They're very family oriented and community oriented, and it's all about production, productivity, and just being healthy in the mind and in the body. If I had grown up in an Amish community, I cannot say for sure, but I am thinking that I would not have left, that I would have been very happy to be at home with my kids, cooking and cleaning and just, I probably wouldn't have melasma. I probably wouldn't have frizzy hair. It'd probably be very healthy. I wouldn't have any gut issues, very healthy. Even if some of the women have a little bit more meat on their bones, some of them, because everybody has a body shape, they're very healthy because they eat healthy. Even if they eat butter and cream and milk and whatever, but all in all, the life that they live is very healthy. That's because they have tuned out the world. I mean, I know that now they have the phone and they get online and they sell their products online because, they're smart people. They know about accounting and economy and building. Very intelligent people. We need more Amish to open up their homes to children, and DHR needs to stop trafficking these kids. So anyway, the Mormon boys that I met were very wholesome, and they were about my age. I was like 19 years old at the time, and I, was not, you know, perfect by any means, but I was a very wholesome girl too, considering, my human growth and development. And, what, I was the typical girl of my situation. Typical. Very naive too. Very naive. But I was looking forward to meeting these boys, because when they came on their bikes with the Bible and they knocked on their door, they were so hopeful. They were so hopeful that, they just needed somebody, that one person, to open up the door to listen to them, because I'm sure that they were hot and tired and thirsty, and they were probably, they probably don't lose faith, I'm sure, but they just lose, motivation, I'm sure, because that's just what they have to do out there. And a lot of people are like, oh, please, I don't want to talk to these kids. I don't have time for that nonsense, and they think they're fanatics. Yeah, I had the most intelligent conversation with these boys. And then when they left, my stepfather said to me, Susanna, because he used to always call me Susanna or Sana, I want you to be careful, because, I don't want you to like he didn't want me to become like some fanatic or something, and he didn't want me to be disappointed, but I just knew. And then I joined the military, and then I just got lazy with my faith. I didn't nurture it, because you're busy learning about other stuff, so you only have so much time, even for yourself. You have to, figure out how you're going to spread the time, and it's very challenging when you are an airman. You're learning about military, rules, and you're also learning about medical or whatever your field of work is, and it's all crammed in a short period of time. And you're also going through your human growth and development, so you're still a kid. According to Maria Montessori, we're not adults until the age of 24. So I was actually getting out of the Air Force, when I became an adult. So my human growth and development was very diverse. I had, an upbringing that was like my immediate household, and then my godmother's mother, and then, my grandmother, my aunt. Very interesting, But in the military, it was like I felt like I needed that, because I wanted discipline. But before I joined the military, before I graduated high school, before I came to the United States at the age of 16, I told my mother, I said, please, please, please leave me in Panama. Leave me in a all-girls boarding school, like a private boarding school with the nuns. I really did want to be that way. I really did. I wanted to wear the uniform and pressed, and be like a little lady, and be disciplined, and learn about God, and learn about, music. I wish I would have been able to learn the piano and the violin. Yeah, I really do. And I believe that all children need music in their lives. All children need to learn instruments in school. Our public school system needs funding for music and art on a daily basis. Daily. daily. Children need to also dance as part of the therapy, because we are labeling these kids ADD and ADHD when they really just need movement, you know? And they need to be kids and have fun and dance. And we need more drama in schools, like in elementary, and foreign languages in school. And we need yoga and martial arts all in school during the school year. So you take turns, you know, like through the week. Not cramming it in, but spacing it out so that they can enjoy. They can enjoy a good half hour of dancing, learning the different dances, you know, learning salsa, samba, capoeira, and learning, you know, how Native Americans dance and how people dance in other countries, you know, and music. Like, I love Dave Matthews Band because they've got all kinds of instruments, and their music is just so universal, you know, and they have all the different races in this band. I think it's great that, you know, that people can come together in regardless of their ethnicity or their race or their background, poor, rich. You can come together and put a band together, and just your talent. Everybody has a talent, but your talent, you know, whatever it is, whether it's music or art or whatever, be appreciated, you know. So our American taxpayers' money needs to be well invested, not invested in the war, in this nuclear sharing. ¿Qué es eso? It's like NATO needs to change its tactics. We need to understand that self-defense is not about having the most powerful weapons, because it's like, what good does it do to spend your people's taxes on, or taxpayers' money on developing all these expensive weapons that are very destructive and very costly and very intimidating? Because what it does is it encourages and it motivates the enemy or potential enemy or other neighboring countries or countries across the globe to feel threatened by such things, and they're only going to emulate. And we need to be emulating the good in one another, but we don't. You know, just like if somebody's smoking, what is the buddy gonna do? They're gonna be like, oh, can I have some? You know, or doing drugs. That's exactly what they emulate from one another. Yeah, that's how we are. We are children of God, and we emulate the not so good in one another. That's what we do. So we need to emulate the good in one another. So if we, as developed countries, start disarming together, then all the people who were like always looking up to us like, oh, but I really did want to develop weapons like the United States and China, and I really did want to have the opportunity to use it, you know, just like they did, because then that would put us up there, you know, like that. You know, that fearful country, powerful country, you know, it's like, no, we're behind. You know, it's like, no, folks, you're not. I know that the Prime Minister Benjamin thought that, well, the United States developed and used these weapons, you know, here in the West, and he was looking forward to developing such things and using them as the West did. And I want to let y'all know that that's not good to emulate the bad. I'm not saying that the West is bad. What I'm saying is that we have done some things that are not good. But it's never too late. Or it is, but it's not too late today to repent. And understand that together we can disarm as nations of developed nations, disarm together so that other nations can follow by emulating us. So these Mormon boys that came, the both of them had such a good demeanor, just so wholesome, just so different than the worldly boys. I mean, our conversations had nothing to do with sex or violence or or gossip or it was just like, these are the kind of friendship that I wish I could have in school, because in school kids get bullied. They do. If you're different, you're going to get bullied. If you're an ESL student, you're definitely going to get bullied. Because you don't want to read out loud, and when you have to read out loud, it's like, oh Lord. It's embarrassing. I was an ESL student for a while. And I was not overly bullied, but I had my friends who protected me from being bullied or whatever. I mean, I wasn't bullied like but how they do it now. It was more like I felt embarrassed that I didn't speak English as well as the others, that I couldn't express myself as well because of the language barrier. So I feel like if we spoke more languages in elementary, the kids would be multilingual by the time they get to high school. All kids that have a tendency to bully are going to have those tendencies. And kids who have a tendency to be bullied are going to have those tendencies. But I believe that through communication and languages and art and music and dance on a regular basis and martial arts and yoga, all of these things simultaneously can reduce significantly the bullying or the being bullied, because it empowers the one who has that weakness of character, or I shouldn't say weakness of character, that's how it's perceived, but a shyness or an insecurity. So it would empower them because the martial arts teaches you discipline, and it helps with posture and self-control and all of these things. So it helps the kids who bully, and it helps the kids who are bullied. And now they both know I'm equipped, And the playing of the instruments help, because if they can all play an instrument, it's not like one is better than the other. It's just like apples and oranges. But at least they all have something that they can play and can play. They can take turns and see what they like better, and they may end up playing multiple instruments. And it's good for them, whatever they want to do. Some kids like to focus on just one thing. Some kids like to be all over the place. Whatever works for them. But at least these things need to be, we have to invest in our children because they're our future. America is so diverse. And I'm not saying that we need to be cruel and inhumane toward illegal immigrants. On the contrary, especially those who have already been here for a while. I'm not saying that we need to be killing people, around the border. That's not acceptable. We need to be protecting those people, but we need to have a something well established. Like, okay, Mexico and the United States, they were never one country like Israel. It used to be Palestine, and Jews came over and made it Israel, and it was supposed to be, it was, the partition plan should have been 50-50 from the very beginning. But these people purposely, gave the Palestinian people less in their own land. And they knew it was going to create war. They knew it. They were saying, oh, we're trying to find a solution. But they weren't. But there was also a lot of pressure politics from the Jewish people who wanted their land, because the Jews didn't understand that the whole land of our inheritance is the earth. But because they were being pushed out of where they were, this is what started it. Had they just been allowed to stay where they were born and raised, none of this would have happened. But that's the way it worked out, because God has a purpose for everybody to come together again. So Palestine and Israel and Pakistan and India, those things, that animosity shouldn't be there. Those walls and barriers shouldn't be there. So here in the United States, one day when people understand that we've got our own Native Americans to take care of, our own poor to take care of, not just Black Afro-Americans and Native Americans, but we're talking about poverty across the board, regardless of your race. We've got a lot of poverty and homelessness in America that needs to be addressed. So we can't let everybody and their brother come in here, because this is supposed to be the land of the free, because it's not the land of the free for those who live out in the streets. It's not the land of the free for those who have their benefits not granted. Their rights violated. So, regardless of your ethnicity or race or gender or social status or financial situation. I mean, look at what has happened to some of these journalists who have had their rights taken away, and that's not right. I would like to see Alex Jones come back strong, but not on the defensive, just back and doing his thing that he's always done, because we need that balance in journalism. We don't need it all one side, it's like, no, we need to see the different points of view. And Alex Jones is a character, very interesting, and just like President Trump, they were making fun of his demeanor because he was becoming defensive, because he was being attacked from different angles. And that's the tactic that DHR used with me. They started telling me that they started talking about Mardi Gras when we were supposed to be talking about my son being returned to me, and all of a sudden they took out the caseworker, they replaced him with another caseworker, and they said, well, Mr. Sanders said this and that, but Mr. Sanders was not even there. And then, this new caseworker was lying in court. The judge knew it was a lie. The court date was postponed, like reschedule for 6 months and 6 months and 6 months. And that's how they buy time. And everybody's making money, off this case. And it's like, where does the money come from? They don't care, because that's their money. So there's got to be cases for them to make money. But it's like, we need to be defending the people who are, whose rights are being violated. So, they were going on about Mardi Gras, and I'm just like, I don't have a problem with Mardi Gras, but I'm not going to sit here and listen to this shenanigans, you know? And then, it's like wasting time. And it's like my demeanor changed from the original when Miss Haywood for 45 minutes was bullying me, harassing me, intimidating me, and coercing for 45 minutes illegally because she didn't have a court order, nor was she supposed to be doing that. This is a violation of my rights. In the public school with the principal's permission. Okay? Illegal. Illegal. So, I was like, is this because I'm anti-gun or something? I mean, I was scared to a certain extent because I'm just like, where's my son? I'm thinking, where's my son? And is he hearing this? It's like people are scanning the earth looking for the Jesus and the Satan when they don't understand that it's all inside. When you come before the Lord, when you face we should fear God only. When you face yourself, the heart, when you face your truth, okay? Remember, we are his pupils learning directly from him. So look at yourself in the mirror and face your fears. God is spirit. You are in the physical. But this is temporary. This is eternal. The one in you is greater than you because the one in you holds everything. The one in you is greater than you because we are parts of the body. So we all share that one in common. So you look at yourself. We are his pupils learning directly from him. And Jerusalem is chosen again. Satan to the right, not. Jerusalem, Joshua and Jerusalem, Yeshua, Jews and Gentiles. So the Gentile is a Jew and the Jew is now a Gentile, whether you want to or not. It's kind of like this. It's like, if you want it to be already, let's go.